Joining me now, as he does each and every week, is Sky News Australia's media watchdog columnist, Gerard Henderson. Gerard, thank you so much for joining us. Now, you have been at it again and you've found the most ridiculous, although I think it's very telling, ABC commercial, and we're going to show you just before we talk about it.
Lot to talk about. It's over to you to ask the important questions.
Does our current political system reward narcissists?
Who decides what's true and what is not? To challenge power.
Mental health care in this country isn't adequate.
Oh, yeah.
Now, we've noticed something in that. Can you give us a little bit of an insight?
Well, there are two Labor politicians in that clip, and there's one former Liberal politician, George Brandis. But there are two Teal independents, Monique Ryan from Melbourne and Zoe Daniel from Melbourne. Patricia Cavellis, the presenter, she was in Melbourne at the time, I think. Now, or she's based in Melbourne, so we've got an example there of the Melbourne left of different kinds of it. So what you've got is you've probably got 14 independents in the lower house, plus the Greens, and you've got 150 people in the lower house. But suddenly, the two independents, Teals, who are most at risk, along with Kate Chaney in Perth, Ms Ryan and Ms Daniel, suddenly get on this advertisement for Q&A, which goes all over the country, and which would be widely watched in the electorates they're struggling to hold, which is Goldstein in Melbourne and Kooyong in Melbourne.
In the middle of an election campaign.
So that's just free advertising. Now, they could have chosen anyone to plug that, but they chose those two people. Now, if I were Ms Daniel or Dr Ryan, shall we say?
Oh, she will send you a legal letter.
Dr Ryan. I mean, I would be delighted with that because it's not simply an ad, because it shows what you're doing, it's sympathetic. It's
professionalising you.
Professional, makes you look interesting. And I think we're in one of these things of what a coincidence moment that it happened to two Teal independents.
I think the marketing team should have been far more careful than just to put a whole bunch of very left-wing Teals there to promote it. Because you're not promoting just the show. You have to keep in mind you're an election campaign. You're using taxpayer dollars to promote politicians, and it's their quotes and everything. But also, it's not really the marketing team's fault because the only people that they tend to get on that show most of the time are left-wing people. They've only got a certain pool to pull grabs from.
Well, it's like the rest of the ABC. It's basically a conservative-free zone. Now, in the last couple of weeks, you had the previous week you had three right of centre to three left of centre to one sort of vaguely right of centre. And last Monday, you had two left of centre to one right of centre. So the panels are massively imbalanced. And if you add Patricia Cavellis in, I mean, she's a journalist on the left. So, I mean, basically, they're sort of a lefty-lovey get-together. And
Zoe Daniels is one of them.
Well, she's one of them. And she used to be at the ABC. I mean, so she's getting... I mean, I'm not saying she's involved, but her former mates at the ABC are putting her on. And then she gets in the promo as well. Now,
let's talk Nick McKenzie, because the audio that Shari Markson discovered, you've got a point that you want to listen to. So let's have a listen to this audio.
No, I shouldn't tell you. I've just breached ethics in doing that. Like, this is where, this is put me in a position now. Like, if Dean knew that and Peter knew that, I'd give my hand to me on the platter.
And Gerard, the language it is using is very robust, and it's maybe being a point that has slipped a lot of people's attention.
Well, it is a snippet from a longer conversation, and he's talking as a litigant in a sense. But here you've got Mr. McKenzie talking to a woman he wouldn't know very well, who and we don't know exactly her age. I imagine she's probably in her 30s or 40s or something like that. And he's using language that you wouldn't expect people to use to people they don't know, and you wouldn't even want them to use it around the office because language doesn't offend some people, but it does offend other people, and you've got to be careful about doing it. So this seemed to me to be a very unprofessional approach for someone who is presented by Nine as one of Australia's leading journalists. Now, I'm not sure that all our leading journalists speak like that in private, and I just think a lot of people had missed it because they were focusing on what was being said. But I was interested in how it was said because it just seems to me Look, I mean, maybe he should go to, at the Sydney Institute, we sponsor courtesy classes, and he needs to go to a courtesy class.
Again, it is the marketing behind it, and without being too puritanical with it, and obviously everyone uses robust language in private, and he didn't know he was being recorded, presumably.
No, he didn't.
But in this situation, it shatters this image that Nine wanted to build for this clean-cut, by-the-book investigative journalist. It really has damaged that whole image.
And there is a big difference between using language to someone that you know, because you probably know how they react to language, to someone that you don't know or don't know very well. I mean, it's quite a different thing. It's quite confronting. And when I listened to it on Sherry Markson's program, that's what surprised me. No, there are other issues, but that's what surprised me.
Yeah. And we've got one more grab to listen to, and it's from the climate think tank Rewiring Australia on the ABC. Let's have a quick listen.
The Coalition's pledged a gas reservation policy, again, without analysis or policy detail. What's your view on that?
I think you've said it exactly right. This is without analysis or policy detail. When I do the analysis, it's a bad idea. We don't need it.
Dare I ask you about the Coalition's nuclear energy proposal?
Oh, it will be too expensive and too late.
Gerard, what did you pick up from that?
Well, Saul Griffith is a climate activist, so he goes on The World Today with Andy Park, and Andy Park doesn't ask about his own opinions. He asks what he thinks of Peter Dutton and the opposition, and surprise, surprise, Saul Griffith doesn't think much at all. So what? I mean, in a court of law, they'd be thrown out. I mean, they'd be so obvious that even a sleeping judge would wake to them. I mean, these are leading questions, begging an answer, and you get the answer that you want, and then you go on and ask another question the same way. I mean, it's grossly unprofessional. He should have been asking Saul Griffith about his own views, but to ask him to talk about the Coalition or Peter Dutton's views, when you know Saul Griffith's views, you know that he's going to bag them.
It's not probative, and the way he's doing it, it's bleeding the witness, as you've mentioned. Essentially, he even phrased it, "Dare I ask about this?" Because he knows. You say "Dare I ask" because you know that you're about to elicit a negative response. Right? That's the only reason you would say that.
Well, he wasn't there to ask at all. I mean, he wanted to ask it, but that's a kind of a cover that I don't really want to ask this. But he didn't want to ask it, because if he didn't want to ask it, he wouldn't have asked it.
Dare I get you to smash the Coalition for me?
There we are.
Gerard Henderson, thank you so much for joining us.
Okay.